characters in games often fall into two broad categories. You've got characters, which are characters that already have their personality, that the player sort of steps into the shoes of, someone like Lara Croft or Max Payne. And then you've got what we call blank slate characters, so someone like Gordon Freeman, for example, who obviously has a name and has a past, depending on if you've played previous Half-Life games, but has no voice. And so your actions in the world are kind of purely what defines Gordon Freeman. A blank slate character allows the player to role-play them in the more traditional sense, whereas a character stepping into the shoes, that the player has to become more aligned with what the character does and how they react. And there are the various challenges for games writers in that. With a blank slate character, obviously they have no kind of personality, they have no real reaction to the world, and so you often find yourself writing a lot around them, which kind of helps the player define themselves as a character a lot. So for example, in Overlord we used a blank slate character who had kind of no voice and no real personality, and the player could sort of plop themselves in their shoes, but the world around them was very verbal, so they were talked to as if they were a fully fledged character, and they were kind of reacted to like that. In the same way, for example, Alex reacts to Gordon Freeman in Half-Life 2 in the episodes. So you often make the world a lot more talky around them to compensate for that. And likewise with actual characters, it's a fine balance, so you don't make the character do anything too extreme that kind of might pull the player out of line with the character. So it can be really annoying if the player character does a very douchebag move that the player wouldn't want to do, or does something that's completely random and not fitting, and the player gets very out of line with the character. And so we often talk about aligning the character, the player character, and the player. So the player character, may know certain things, and the player may not, and it's trying to get the player and the player character in the same space, so they're kind of experiencing the world at the same time. This is why Amnesia has been so popular in games, because it puts the player character and the player starting on the same kind of point and kind of discovering the world in the same way. It's not ideal, but that's one of the reasons it's been done.